As you know, everyone looks at the same data. We all get the same data. The government puts it out. But different economists place different emphasis on certain variables at certain points in the cycle. And so we were watching 2 points of view based on the same data. One was we are back in the 70s environment. Inflation is baked into the cake. It's going to be very difficult to dislodge it. And we're probably in an environment where commodity prices, real estate, tangible assets generally are going to do much better than the financial markets. So those have been variables we've had to work through in terms of our own thinking about the future. But we did come to the same conclusion that we were probably going to see more deflationary forces at the end of all of this than inflationary forces. And I believe that we are in the early stages of seeing that. Now, these are the early stages, but Nancy's view of the world, which she every week puts into charts that really help evoke what's going on. Her view of the world was closer to this, inflation is not embedded in the system at a rate much like the 70s.
Well, hi, Cathie. Thank you very much for asking me to be on this discussion with you today. Really, really appreciate it. And there's certainly a lot of very, very interesting things going on and some disturbing things, quite frankly, that are going on. And so there are many drivers of economic activity, but perhaps the two most important are both monetary and fiscal. Let's start out with the monetary side of the equation, which is page 2. And on the monetary side, the Federal Reserve is now raising interest rates. But actually, that's in a background of other central banks have been raising rates already for over a year. We've counted over 180 central bank tightening moves. That is 180 interest rate increases over the past year. Not 180 central banks. There are many central banks have actually raised rates several times, which is now what our Federal Reserve is just starting to do. But we are a global economy, and it is global rates that drive our economy. And it's not the level of rates. Here you see global short rates are still very, very low. Many of you would think 1.8%. Gee, that's much lower than mortgage rates. What's wrong with that? But they've increased. It's the change in interest rates when you go from 0.8% to 1.8. It's that increase that changes behavior, that negatively impacts economic activity. And it doesn't happen immediately. It takes time. It takes roughly a year to change behavior. And so we are right now in a period where the economy is already starting to slow. You've certainly seen that with a lot of company news where their earnings are starting to get hit and overall economic activity is starting to slow. And now the Fed is starting to raise rates. That's very different when they last had a tightening cycle, which was back in 2016. They were raising rates into an accelerating economy, and that gave them a couple of years of higher interest rates without really disrupting the markets or economic momentum. That's not the case today. The economy is already slowing. Why is it already slowing? Again, because global central banks have been tightening for a year. You also have higher bond yields. You have higher oil prices. All those things lead growth, and they are now in the prospect of slowing economic activity. And now the Fed is stepping in and raising rates. We would argue they're late, and these higher interest rates that they're putting in place risk creating financial strains. And in turn, we don't think the Fed is going to be able to raise rates as much as they currently suggest, say around 200 basis points, because between now and then, there's going to be clear signs that the economy is slowing, and even inflationary pressures are going to come down. So we will get another rate hike. We're not so sure how aggressive the Fed's going to be able to be in the fourth quarter, because we think by then it's going to be pretty clear both growth and inflation are slowing pretty significantly.
Yeah, Nancy, I'm also struck. The Fed is really focused on the U.S., but I think Europe is in a recession. China, some of the numbers coming out of China are shocking as well. That has an impact on the rest of Asia. So their what they're facing is a recession, and their currencies are dropping. Their currencies are dropping relative to the dollar, which means their purchasing power is going down. But it also means that some of them are tightening more because their currencies are falling against the dollar. So it's a bit of a vicious cycle. And as Nancy says, I agree with you, Nancy, we are not alone. Many people are thinking about the U.S. in isolation. We've already had 1 quarter of negative GDP, which most people brushed aside, saying, "Oh, that's a fluke." And I think that was a real number, and we should not dismiss it. So, agree with you totally, Nancy.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race, you're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Markus Dahn, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Markus Dahn.